Okay, so from a stylistic standpoint, the GX 550 already looked good, and depending on your preferences, now I've already said I'm more of an off-road guy, but depending on your preferences, you might like this Luxury Plus trim, okay? Why might you like it? Well, because you have 22-inch wheels that admittedly, admittedly, they look pretty freaking sick, okay? So this could be something where Megan and I have our differences, because I think if she sees this trim, and maybe I'll intercut to her right here, like reacting to the B-roll on this.
So which GX 550 do you prefer?
Well, I'm just talking about the outside, because on the inside, I would probably prefer the luxury one, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Because I like
massaging
luxury.
Seats, all that good stuff.
Yes, that sounds right up my alley. But the outside, gotta be this, what is this?
Overtrail?
Yeah.
The tough one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still like the tough one?
What, I mean, like, has anything changed?
No, you like trucks.
The truckier, the tougher,
Trucky.
the better. I want truck on the outside, luxury on the inside.
So the Overtrail.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think she might want to lean more towards this, the decadent interior leather, the dynamic sky sunroof, the gigantic wheels. I mean, this thing has presence for days. Now, she likes a good truck, but she also likes her luxury. So I'll defer to her opinion on this one. If we end up with the GX, maybe it's not quite the off-road monster that I want, but you know, it's supposed to be her car anyway. But I'd love to know what you think of the design of this Lexus GX 550, because I think it looks really cool like this, okay? My biases aside, I think it wears these giant wheels well. You have those pop-out running boards, which, oh my gosh, I mean, that's such a neat little feature, because they tuck under and keep that sort of off-road look, but then they come down to give you that like assisted step getting in and out of the vehicle. For you shorter folks out there, I'm 6'6", don't really need it, but like, it's a nice feature to have. I really like that, and it's a Lexus, so it's not gonna break. But overall, I would say the design of this thing, whether you have it spec for off-road duty or whether you have it in the sort of luxury trim, it's a smash hit from Lexus, okay? Go check out my other video on the Overtrail Plus model that we had at Destination Outdoor to see what it looks like all outfitted like that. And maybe I'll throw in some B-roll of the Overtrail Plus with all of the optional like Prinsu roof rack and ARB stuff. They've got one over here. I'll throw in a couple pictures of that while I'm talking, just so you can see what you could do with this thing from full luxury to full off-road. But bravo, Lexus, good job on this one. Now, first things first, under the hood here, we have the same engine as in the Overtrail. So that's a twin turbo V6 making 349 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, and that's running through a 10-speed automatic transmission. And these are all healthy numbers for the class. Now, the only concern here, and some people have voiced this online, I don't disagree, but the only concern here is fuel economy numbers. Now, we don't have all of our final information just yet, but in terms of like sort of projected fuel economy, it's probably not the greatest. You know, we're looking at probably high teens here, but I'm hoping that we get a press vehicle or I get to go on the Lexus GX first drive soon, and I'll report back more of driving impressions as well as actual real world fuel economy. But those numbers, 349, 479, are healthy, and you know, you don't really get numbers like that without a little bit of a fuel economy hit. Okay, so one area where I've got to give the Overtrail model some props is in the cargo space, okay? Because the problem with the luxury version is it comes with a third row. And as far as I know, any version that's luxury has the third row, and every version that's off-road oriented does not have the third row. And as you can see back here, there is not a lot of space behind the third row. I mean, we're talking about just a few inches of cargo space behind the third row, if you could even call it that. I would not call it cargo space. I would call it like I can sit on the bumper space. That's about it. And then of course, when you fold the third row down, because of this thing's off-road capability and live rear axle, you don't have like a flat floor anymore. It's sort of raised up, kind of like it is in the Land Cruiser to accommodate the hybrid battery. That's why the Land Cruiser is 2-row only. So that is a little bit of a ding against this luxury version. If you're like us and your kids are older and you don't really need that third row anymore for any reason whatsoever, it is going to eat into your cargo space somewhat. And how much you care about that really depends on your family's needs. So as you can see here in the ultra luxury trim, you've got tons of space in the front, okay? But you've got these wonderful, just decadent, buttery smooth leather seats, and they are massaging. So when you have that luxury plus trim, you get the massaging seats, and then you get the dynamic sky roof. That's the kind of roof that can go from opaque to clear at the press of a button. So that is super cool, and it's unique to this luxury trim level, all right? You need the luxury luxury trim in order to get the dynamic sky roof. And I just, knowing Megan the way I do, I feel like stuff like that is gonna win her over. Now, fear not, off-road people like me, you still get your rear locker and you still get your off-road controls and you still have your drive modes and your mode selector, your multi-terrain stuff. It's still here, right? It's just not as fully capable as it is in Overtrail form because that's not the intended function of the vehicle. So can this GX spec'd out for this luxury version do more than most luxury SUVs off-road? Absolutely, and you get that Lexus quality too. Sure, you could go buy a BMW or a Mercedes, but they can't do what this thing can do off-road. And they probably will, what's the word I'm looking for? Break and cost $1 million to fix. So like there's that kind of big negative there. Now, one thing, a little bit of a bummer here, this seat is incredibly comfortable. Love the seat, love the space, plenty of headroom despite the dynamic sky roof. The steering wheel won't come out or go in because it's disabled at the auto show, but it's got plenty of adjustability. You've got your memory stuff. I've got all the luxury options that you could want, okay, in this thing. The downside is the space is a little bit tighter than it is in some of the other Lexus TX over there, in some of other Lexus products, all right? So I'm gonna jump in the back seat and show you 6'6" sitting behind 6'6", maybe. All right, so I'm getting into the back of the GX 550 and the seat is where I would have it. And this is a bit unfortunate because at 6'6", this is where I'd have the front seat and the back seat is not super great for me, okay? Now, would that prevent me from getting this? Would it prevent Megan from getting this? I'm not 100% convinced because Ella can drive herself and, you know, Hallie can sit behind the passenger. You could scoot that up a little bit because Megan's 5'9". So there is that. But in terms of a tall person sitting behind themselves, the GX 550 is going to be a little tight. I'm not even gonna attempt to get into the third row because that would be an exercise in sort of medieval torture for someone my height back there. But you wouldn't want to put anybody but infants back there, and infants shouldn't be riding unattended anyway. So guys, let me know what you think of the Lexus GX 550 in this sort of luxury trim. Obviously, the Lexus GX 550 is one of the hottest new vehicles that's coming out soon. And so I think a lot of it has to do with the design. I think a lot of it has to do with sort of the mystique of the GX 550's off-road ability. But in this luxury trim, and let's be honest, we've got to be honest here because this is a family channel and we like to bring honest, information. Most of these Lexus GX 550s are going to be pavement princesses, and that means they're going to be spec'd more like this than they are the Overtrails. The Overtrails are for crazy people like me, but this is the luxury trim for people that are actually going to show up at the club in their GX with the 22-inch wheels and the dynamic sky roof and the massaging seats. This thing has massaging seats, okay? Come on now. So what do you think? What would you prefer in your Lexus GX 550? Are you like me and your wife really wants one or you really want one, but you're sort of being honest and you're thinking, I probably want one more like this than the Overtrail? I won't judge you, no judgment here, okay? Even though I prefer the Overtrail and I think it looks the business, this is how a lot of them are gonna be specced. So let me know what your thoughts are on a GX 550 specced with all the luxury goodies, and comment down below, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll catch you in the next video. This is me at the LA Auto Show. This has been an amazing day. I am getting so many good pieces of content, so stay tuned because you never know what else might pop up on the channel.